Hi everyone. Today is November 6th. Let's go through all the active coins. Today we'll have only one session where all the coins will be reviewed, starting with 1 inch in alphabetical order. Now, let's. So, yesterday was. So, this is last week. So, last week it had hit. So this is weekly time frame. It had hit R9 and then pull. This is like a pretty like this corrected a lot. I personally don't like this kind of behavior, but what can we do? It not only that, it went below the interim resistance, so sometimes it lands to, that previous resistance is always support. So even if it goes down like this there and stay over here is fine, because that's the previous resistance which is a support. Now in this week, what I didn't like is it went below that interim support. Now, so that's not something good as far as the recovery attempt is concerned. One thing is good that it touched this one, but this range is too much. But nothing much can be done. It has done in past also once, but usually it doesn't behave like that. So that's this is something not so good as far as behavior is concerned. But as far as level is concerned, this is not something to be worried. So there are two different things. Okay, and so as long as it's above the support, there's nothing, not a problem. You may say as long as it's above the yellow line, that's not a problem. And yeah, so at this moment there's not a risk as far as trend is concerned. Aave did something similar, hit in interim resistance R11, and then lot of and then again, this is a bad behavior. I think the same thing I would say for Aave. We don't like this. I mean, we would not like to see this. This is too much. Anyways, it is still making higher lows, which is good thing in a way. This is progress. This was a spike, this is a progress, so that's fine. If it breaks below September 20th, then that's a problem. ADA continue to move sideways. I drawn this triangle, and as you could see, there were multiple hits, and then also a touch to the upper edge, which was encouraging, but it couldn't hold, and then came down. Now this is something to be watched out closely, because it's again coming down. If you look at daily lower time frame, then you will find multiple touches. Let's look at it. You will see multiple touches here. You see this particular level is being attacked multiple times, and again it has returned back. So what happens is, when it happens more and more, this area gets weaker. It's like you strike a wall, strikes. It's like if you visualize that you try to strike, let's say, a wall and keep banging on a wall, then that wall becomes weaker. Depends how strong the wall, and depends how hard you strike. So it depends on that as well. But there is no rule that how many times it should, but more it hits, the probability of going down goes higher. So that's how it works. There is no rule said 2 touches, 3 touches, and those kind of things. There is no rule. But only thing is, that if it keeps coming down like this, then that means it wants to go down. And if it comes down to this, then it's pretty weak and becomes very very weak. It had a good bounce, and then it should not come down. If it comes down to this, then this can be really bad for ADA, because it could go really deep. Okay, and Bitcoin will come to Bitcoin. So I think this is the time to be very careful about what you have, what you choose, and make sure you ask question. I don't mind you ask question, because I don't want to say something, but I'll cover I'll highlight certain levels. So for ADA, this is the level that you have to watch out. this low, if this is broken, then it's unknown territory, because from here this was the support, this is the support. If this is broken, it goes to unknown territory and it might land on this white line, right? So watch out this ADA thing. So we'll return back to 1 week. Sorry, algo. So algo is also melting, and now if it goes down and breaks the previous week's low, then we can say that it has broken the higher low pattern that it has been maintaining. This was the low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. But if this goes down, that means this whole entire structure that you see, which is a positive consolidation, then that becomes weaker. It could come down all the way here and bounce, because it might happen that this is retested. Still, that is fine. But if this is broken below, right, then assume that it could go down all the way to this line. It could land on this line, whether this week, next 2 weeks, we don't know that, but this is the trend line. It could land on this line. So that's for algo. So what you have to watch as a trader, if you are holding algo, look how each week's low can be your reference. If I am a trader, I would say each breaking of each low, each of this low is a potential threat in a way, right? So you can plan, if you think reduction point of view, if you want to reduce your long, this lows becomes your reference point. And as I always say, never decide something in haste, in panic, or in one go, because if it bounces, you are clueless after that, because you think that, oh, I should not have sold and all. And if you don't sell, then also you regret. So only solution is whatever you do in chunk, in increment. If you do that, then no matter what happens, you are not FOMO, you are not feared. Because if you sell everything, goes up, you're FOMO. If you don't sell and goes down, you're feared. And everybody wants to be a winner, but you cannot be winner every time, right? If you just don't do anything. So my approach is in between, that you start reducing as the key levels are broken, and I'm trying to highlight what are the key levels, because if it starts falling, at least you will have some cash in hand, and if it starts bouncing, the same coin can be bought with a lower price. But if you're holding, you are kind of a trap. Once you are in a big loss, you don't sell, because selling in loss is very difficult. So, and if it goes down and goes up, you're not a problem, because you're not selling all. So my approach is, you reduce your position when you see key levels are breaking below, but whatever you do in increments. Again, this is not financial advice, no way. This is what I do, and I share what I think is best for me. But my job here is to highlight what are the key levels. As far as TA is concerned, whatever I said beyond that, you can take that this is what I would do. Alice is in a good position at this moment. It's holding up pretty well, but this is the red line is the point of reference, and basically the last week's low is a point of reference. This is second point of reference. If this is broken, then that's a problem, a big problem. So this last week's low and this September 20th week low to be kept in mind. Atom is also melting down. It might come down. Now this week's low, September 20th low, to be washed out for this one. At this moment, not to worry. But you know what I'm saying. So simple approach could be, each week's low you can track in current situation and see if it is breaking below. I'm just sharing simple technique. And here also you see this is a nice position, is awesome, absolutely no threat. You can consider this low and this low as your point of reference. I mean, but this is the most important one, because if this is broken below, then that's an issue. XS is a nice position. It's actually upward breakout position, so it could shoot up. It's just waiting for good environment, I would say, which is like right now it's hard to come because of Bitcoin's behavior. But again, in this case, this week's low is important. If this week's low is broken, then whole entire setup is broken. Then it might go for this low. BNB is in a strong position. It's going up and preparing for it for R18 and beyond if it continues the way it is continuing. So it's in a strong position at this moment. So to me, this support 433, that is the most important support. You can consider this 490 as an interim support, as a first warning sign, and 433 as a critical one. If that is broken, then it might retest this low, and this is the ultimate level. If this is broken, then that's in a real trouble at this moment. But I'm just sharing both the scenarios. You never know if it starts plunging, so better you know these key levels. Now Bitcoin is not dying, not crashing, but at the same time we have to understand that what it is trying to do. So this, I would say, this is consolidation. Right now it is building up pressure on the downside, but it is way above this week's low, last week's low. I would say last week's low is broken, then I think we should be on alert, because if that happens, then anyway Bitcoin is going to impact all the coins in a really bad manner. So I would say the direction on the weekly is down. This is to be understood, that at the weekly time frame, the direction is down. What is positive about it is it hasn't broken the previous last week's low, which is the 59510. It is not broken. So this is first alert for you. In fact, this week's low is the second. Yeah, so point is last week's low is the first alert, then this week's low is second alert, and if this is the third alert. If this, especially the last week's low, is very, very important. If this is broken, then of course I have given supports, and that support could provide bounce. But if you look at the weekly time frame, I would be worried on Bitcoin's intention, because then it makes a case of a double top here. And right now double top is not, we can say it is happening, but if it starts breaking last week's low and comes down to S1, which is like okay sort of, but if it comes down to S2, then it's a serious problem. And as I mentioned earlier, up to S2 I would still say it's not kind of a crash scenario, or not that it's the bull run is over, which is 12% drop. It's not going to impact the bull run. But if S2 is broken below, comes down to S3, then it's a serious problem. And the scenario which I depicted here, which I posted, that in that case, then if it continues moving down like this, it could create a head like this structure. Then this is the left shoulder, and then comes down to this bounce. And this is just for illustration. This is not a price level. It could be bounce, could be like this much, this much, this much. That's not so important, right? So but this is to depict that this could create some kind of a right shoulder and then goes down. And still I would say I can draw a line. Actually, you know what, it could still bounce. Maybe this is I should have drawn this. It could still bounce from this level and recover and goes for the new all-time high. Okay, maybe I should add this. That makes sense. So not necessarily all the head and shoulder goes down, right? There are some properties that I'll be checking, and I'll let you know when time comes. At this moment I don't have to talk a lot, but even if it comes down to this level, it can still go up and go for the new high. Okay, so it's not, game is not over even if it comes down. But as I said on this, okay, let me complete the thought on this one before switching. So as I said, if this head and shoulder fails and comes back to this one, still there is a chance, but then this is a remote possibility. So what I'll do is I'll represent with a dotted line, dashed line, maybe be kind of dicey, or I'll make it yellow to indicate that this is a kind of kind of uncertain, because this is far-fetched. Because if this comes down to this one, the probability of going down is, then again it will bounce, and then this will start the downtrend. This will start the downtrend. It could go up to 19k without any doubt to me, right? So at this moment we don't have to talk about it because we are sitting here, but the moment it starts breaking below this last week's low, we should be on high alert. So I'll switch to the BTC Binance. So S2 is the most important level in my opinion. I may have to tune it, so don't look for the exact dollar number. It could be 52,800, it could be 52,900 or something, 100, 200, $300 here or there, which I'll have to tune it, because this resistance need to be tuned as the price action, as per the price action. These are the number valid now, but if the wave structure changes, if the price depends on the price structure, I may have to retune it. But roughly speaking, 5200 range, you can say 52 to 53k range is the most critical range, because if it comes down to S3, this is the last avenue where it can revive. Then it's a trouble. If it comes down to this level, right, then it's a big trouble. Because why it is in big trouble? Because this earlier head and shoulder was at an angle, a little bit of TA here. This head and shoulder is at an angle of this orange line, right? So this is not horizontal line. If the price comes down to this level, then this is a strong head and shoulder, where this is the whole entire left hand portion. This becomes your head all the way here, and it will bounce up to S3, let's say, and then comes down to this, and then go down, and then go down badly. So that's the scenario. Again, we'll not talk much about it. This is not a big concern at this moment, but this is for awareness. Okay, so let's continue with CELR now. CELR, as I mentioned, it's on downtrend. So though it was doing good, forget about this coin until it breaks above R3. This is going down at this moment. There is no sign of bounce. When it bounces above the support level, then you can say there's something to it. For now, assume it's going down, right? And once it goes above R3, then there's opportunity. Right now, assume it's going down. Doge is in fine balance. The balance will go off balance. This will go off balance if last week's low is broken, especially if this week's low is broken, then it's in a trouble, big trouble. If it comes down to this, then it's in a bigger trouble. Why? Because then it will create a huge descending triangle, which will be really bad, like this, and you don't want to see this, because if it comes down to this, again it will bounce and come back to here, but this fall could be deep, pretty deep. Okay, right now it's not happening because it's here, but as soon as it breaks last week's low and this week's low, we need to be on high alert if you are having Doge with you as a long position. Okay, DOT is in excellent position. You see, it broke out, it touched the R14, very close to R14, came down, a little bit of melting. This is not an issue. This is one of the strongest coin. I'll share R15 as soon as R14 is broken above. I'm not in a hurry to give R15, but I'll give you definitely. But this is one of the strongest coin at this moment. So this call will help you picking up coins. If you plan to change anything, then you may use this information if you think that makes sense. So weekly review is for you to get an insight of weekly trend. So for an example, if anyone is holding CELR, if I'm saying it's going down, so you have a choice to switch to something which is not going down but up. Okay, so that's the whole purpose. The purpose is not to just sit, of course it's a choice. But if the information is not used, then probably it may not help as far as opportunities are concerned. Then you are not mitigating the risk. Okay, Ethereum is in a good position, but I see some so this kind of candle is showing that this is weakening, but this is not weak. This is weaker than last week, and over time, if you look at this candle was the strongest, less than a weaker. So in last 4 weeks, it is moving up, no doubt. The price is moving up. It is making higher high and higher lows. There is nothing to be doubt. But if you look at the body of the candle, the body is shrinking. That tells me that this is weakening. Okay. Now, so you next week we'll have to see if it shoots up. Sometime it could go sideways, gather energy and shoot up. So if it does, then it's fine. But what we don't want it to go down and go below R16. We don't want it to go below R16, because if it goes below R16, we are in trouble. Okay. Again, it has a lot of room in my opinion, because it is sitting on the top. So Ethereum is not a concern. It is looking good at this moment, but it is kind of weakening for sure at this moment. File is weak, pretty weak at this moment. It had a good bounce. If you look at this yellow line, it has been a lifeline. It has been a lifeline. It provided supports multiple times, as you could see. But if it keeps coming on this one, I don't think this will be able to hold it. So if it comes down to this again, then this line may not be able to hold it and could make new low, which will be like kind of a retest of this one. Again, that's not end of the game. The angle of this line will change, but that's not something good, because then it's a significant loss. At this moment, there is no opportunity. In my opinion, above 75 is something I'll be interested, especially if it goes above 82, then it is good. Otherwise, this coin is showing all the weakness. FTM, be careful. FTM has been a star, but the star doesn't remain forever. Okay, so those who are holding FTM, no need to panic. But if this today's week is broken below, then you have to assume that it is going for lower level, and then it will take a longer time before it reaches to R7 and higher. So at this moment, if it doesn't break above R7, forget about the R8 for now. And it is true, and that is always true, that unless it breaks above the R7, I mean whatever resistance, then only the next resistance is valid, right? So basically last week's high has to be broken above for it to go for R8. Otherwise, expect it to go down. Okay, and like what you saw here, right? Nice move, then a sideways movement. So it could go sideways movement, or might do something what CELR did, like like this kind of a movement, which is not a sideways movement, but downside moved, descending channel, so to speak, descending move. So we might see that kind of thing from FTM. So depends. It's too early to say. Right now, this is one of the strongest coin without doubt. What I'm just saying is, if it starts breaking this week's low, then that's a point of concern. At this moment in current time, there is nothing to worry. This is one of the strongest coins. But it's important that what levels to be tracked, what levels will make the coin weaker, what levels will make the coin stronger. We need to understand, and that those levels will decide whether coin is getting stronger or weaker. And we have to be very open-minded, and if we go by the level, Then, so for example, if you have 98 degree Fahrenheit temperature, 98.2, you say it's normal, but the moment it hits 100, you can say, okay, now you are feverish or fever. But if it is 102, the severity increases, right? 104 is a big trouble, and so on. So when, so 100 you will not go to doctor, for example. 102 you have to visit doctor. 104 you might have to be hospitalized, and so on. So the problem is, the point is, the temperature tells us that there is something wrong in the body, right? And you don't go to hospital when body temperature is 100 degrees, but you know that if it rises, what level you take medicine. So maybe 100 you take medicine somewhere, something you have it in your home. But if it is more than 100, you visit your doctor. Then if it goes higher, doctor will say, no, you know what, you got to get hospitalized, and so you see, everything like we do in our life is also we do in increments, we do in stages. Nothing is black and white in this world. Trading is also not black and white. The risk is also not black and white. Okay, the opportunity is also not black and white. Means it doesn't transit from 0 to 1. If the 1 is the limit, if the, let's say, range is 10, so it doesn't go from 0 to 10. There are numbers in between, 0, 1, 2, 3. So if 10 is the maximum, it doesn't go to 0 to 10 or from 10 to 0. There is always a transition. That's what I mean. It's not black to white. There are between gray shades in between, right? So these levels are so important. So if it breaks below this one, so this is like 100 degree temperature. If it breaks below this one, it's like 102. If it breaks below this level, this is like 104, where you have to hospitalize, kind of a thing. I hope I'm making sense here, because I'm trying to explain different things by different ways. This is the new analogy I came up with. Probably this is more, you can relate it easily, the body temperature and what you would do at different temperature. If you understood the analogy that I gave, probably you understand how risk to be managed based on the price level. And so if it is, so in the same example, if temperature becomes 104, it's not that one would die, not necessarily, but the point is that person is taking risk with the life. You know what I'm saying? Nobody dies at 104, for example. There is still a tolerance. Body has that capacity, but the point is that person is taking risk with their life. Now that's a choice. So similarly, the person can keep holding a coin, right? It doesn't mean that the coin is going to crash or going to die, but the point is that person is taking risk with the position or portfolio or investment. I think this is the most important analogy I could come up with, or relevant analogy. If you I think this is the easiest way to explain how level-based risk management can be applied to your trading. Okay. FTT is moving sideways. If it has to break above the green level for it to go for R1, and this low is important, September 20th, and this low, August 16th, is the next most important. Otherwise it's in trouble. At this moment it's all right. A GRT is doing nothing at this moment, consolidating near this high, whatever August end high. It is consolidating. It might shoot up, so not a risk at all. It's okay. Only if it comes below this one, then it's in trouble. At this moment, this is still a consolidation. So what happened is, maybe it has actually increased the area. This is what happens with the trend line. You may think that it broken above. You're not wrong, but now the triangle has got bigger, so now this has to be broken above. HNT is one of the strongest coin. It doesn't want to go down. It is making higher high, heading for R6, looking strong to me. So no other comment. ICP is showing a sign of bounce. Yesterday it was really good. 2 days ago and I think this is a sign of that it wants to go up again. This is a sign. Don't think this is going to change all of sudden, but at least it doesn't want to go down, or it wants to come out of consolidation, which it has been for many weeks. So you can say this is a positive sign. And of course it requires this week's high to be broken above, which is whatever is the level, or 57.24, right? Then it will look good, and ultimately it has to break above 90, then it will go for higher level, right? So far so good. I'm expecting it to follow this path, and slowly it should make progress in month of December. Maybe it's somewhere here. Of course, um, nothing should happen to Bitcoin then. I thought doing nothing as far as it's moving sideways. There's no opportunity. There was a good bounce last week. This bounce has erased some of the gain, and now it's back to where it was when it opened. So nothing much for IOTA. There's no big movement here. KCS is one of the strongest one. It had hit R3, and once this week's high is broken above, you can expect it to hit R4. So looking strong. KSM is getting ready for R10. KSM, you see, it's trying to break above September high, and it had tried and it's not giving up. So this is another coin you may keep in mind, because it is likely to hit R10, and I'll give you R11 soon once it breaks above. So I'm highlighting KSM is looking good. Link is making progress, though there is not enough speed, but not bad at all. It's holding up nicely. Nice four candles. There's no momentum, no major momentum, but not bad. You will expect it to hit September high. So it's going to be sluggish in terms of its movement, price movement. I think it should accelerate once it breaks above 37, once this high is broken above. Until then, don't expect any major move. LTC is one of the weakest one at this moment, and as you could see, it is still moving sideways. It has to break about this high for it to do something major. At this moment, this is still under pressure. Luna is one of the strongest one. As you see, it has hit R3. It wants to go for R4. So once this week's high is broken above, look for R4. So when you set alert, don't I would say set alert for this week's high, because then it will give you R4. Mana, if you look at weekly, if you look at intraday, if you look at daily, it doesn't give you comfort. And if let me hide drawings, you see this strong last week, and now somebody will just ask. So if it moved up so much, doesn't it make sense for it to cool down a bit? And if a trader doesn't have patience, then it's a problem. That means the trader is not uh, ready for trading for this kind of a coin. Once you have such a move like 250% move, in my opinion, this is like how is it possible that it keeps on doing every other week? So, and first of all, it is not even crashed to this level, which would. So point is, when you have such a move, this kind of correction is but obvious, and one should not be worried, in my opinion. Of course, the if you buy here, you have to be worried because you are buying at the wrong level, and if you buy with a lot of money, that's also a problem. When you see this kind of a thing, this might go on for longer. It might make progress, come down to this, come down, come little lower, come up, so it might spend few weeks here, because it is possible that it may not make a new move. You never know. If the gaming thing is in demand this week, it may continue moving up, but the point is it may go sideways. The ultimately last week's high to be broken above for it to go for the next level. For now, I would say there's nothing wrong, especially yesterday's breakout helped it pushing, stabilizing it. Yeah, it was going down, but now there is nothing to be worried. So this is back on track. However, it may move sideways. It all depends how what it does. So it's impossible to predict whether it will create this kind of candle this week or next week. It's impossible to say that. But one thing we can say that it doesn't want to go down now. Only thing it can only Bitcoin can bring it down, but not by itself. Matic Matic, strange behavior, but not so. It is not too low. I would say don't worry unless it breaks below last week's low. That's it. If it remains here, that's not a problem. So this is still consolidation, but now it's in much better position because it has already broken above August high. So this is one of the strongest coin at this moment, and it may take some time before it reaches to the previous all-time high, and the real fun will start above this yellow line. NKN, it's consolidating here, not bad, but this is how it is moving. It makes quick move and then goes down, but if you look at it is making progress. So this is how it is. One had hit the R14. Don't expect anything major. I think this is under correction. So I'm saying this is a strong coin, still one of the strongest one. But if it breaks below R13, it might come down to the support level and spend some time. So again, I will say for this coin that it looks like it's not ready for R15 yet. The moment it breaks above this week's low, you can say, okay, it wants to move up. Until then, assume that it wants to go sideways or maybe lower. Sand is one of the strongest one. It was almost hit the R5, and there's an earlier R4, now it's close to R5. Nothing wrong with this coin. It's making progress. One of the strongest one. Shipcoin, it went down. As you know, this is very fast moving coin. It had 4 amazing weeks and then one red, but it came down all the way to R5, and we updated about the low. This was here, it reacted, and now it got a bounce. Now this is a good bounce. From here on, it's unlikely to go down. But on a weekly scale, you might not see everything, but on a 3-day, you might see. So earlier, so it came down, but you see, it got a support from R4. I just saw it actually. Yeah, it got support from R4. This is a technical move. Earlier, it got a support from R5. It got a support from R6, not R4. My bad, R6. So this is very positive. You can expect it to continue on this line, and it might come down to this level again, R6, R7. Sorry, R7. So it will break R7. This is R7. Break above R7, comes down and retest, and this is how it is likely to move. So it is back in the game. But if it breaks below this week's low and comes down to this, then the game is over. SKL is doing well this week. It's really showing some strength, so I like it. So it's getting better. It has to break above this high for it to. Let's go back to weekly. As you could see, nice bounce here. If it can break above September high and touches, then it is going to make a move on a big way. So this coin could move fast. SOL is one of the strongest one, in fact the strongest one at this moment, and it has no sign of weakness. Absolutely none. Absolutely none. This is no brainer as far as coin selection is concerned. Amazing consistency, amazing structure, amazing coin. Nothing more to add. SRM has been moving sideways. This is not something I would like to keep. I just kept because it did well, but I might drop it. Nothing much. Sushi is okay. It tried to break above. It will make another attempt, I believe, but unless and until it breaks above this interim resistance, which is approximately whatever August high, $15, then you can say, okay, now it wants to do something. At this moment, assume it's moving sideways. Tel did well. So again, like Filecoin, the yellow line is a lifeline, and it moved up significantly. It dumped, but it's still above the yellow line. As long as it's above yellow line, it can make another move, because this coin has a tendency to make big move. So big drop, big move is not a big deal for this coin. And important thing is the level. Last week level must not be broken below this level, and this week, September 20th week, must not be broken below this support line. As long as it's above the yellow, as long as it's above the support, it's all right. And it can recover this in matter of hours. Theta has nothing more. It's moving sideways, so there's nothing major. So I would just keep it. It has to go about 9.99 or around $10. Then you can say, okay, that it wants to do something. You need the same thing. Moving sideways, no opportunity, no gain, nothing, flat. It has to break above mid-August high for it to do something. Otherwise, right now, don't hope anything unless it breaks above. VET making move, nice week, nice move. You see, it wants to go up. You can expect it to hit R13 now in coming days. VRA reacted from the orange line, and now it has written back. So it's not bad, but this is it may spend some time here. As long as it's about 0.052, which is R2, it's all right. This is the most important level for VRA. So this is still moving up. This week is red. That's all right, not a big deal. Okay, if it must not break 0.052. That's it. So it'll try again for R4. Waves, one of the I think it's getting weaker. So I would say this is a weak coin and not doing so well at this moment, because this it's trying to breach this last week's low, which is not a good sign. It might pump up, who knows. So as far as it is above this support, it's all right, but if it breaks above the support, then I think it's bad. It has to break above R11 for it to continue move. So anything between R11 and the support is kind of, we are supposed to ignore it, because it's not going to give you any opportunity but trouble, because it could move in a range bound movement. When you see this kind of a range bound movement, stay away. Same thing with XLM. This is the upper bound, this is the lower bound. Unless and until it breaks above or breaks below, there is nothing major going to happen. Same statement. XTZ is actually slowing down. This last week's low is a point of reference for risk management. This is a sign. It tells me that it doesn't want to go down further, but this is a uncertain coin. As I mean, not sure. There's no major movement. What signal it is giving that it doesn't want to go down? What we want to see is that a big move which breaks above last week's high, especially this October 11th high, which is 7.4. If it breaks above that level, then we can say it wants to go for this high. Again, it's going to hit this one, and then some reaction, little bit of throwback, and then try to move up. But one thing is, it has stopped falling. Unless Bitcoin goes down, it has stopped falling, and you can expect it to rise from here on. But it might take 2-3 weeks. So whole entire November, it might just spend in recovering. So not a great coin at this moment. Okay, so that ends the review of all the coins, and I hope I covered everything, and it'll help you. It'll also, so I highlighted what all coins are moving sideways, what are weaker or potentially going down, what all coins are rising, and everything. I think you and Bitcoin, I explained everything in detail. I hope this call will be helpful to you in adjusting or doing, I mean, taking decisions, like as far as in technical inputs are concerned. So that's it. Then I'll end this session for today. Thank you very much.